Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Two On, Two Out, the Phillies podcast with your hosts, Andrew and Bob. Bob, let's kick things off in a extremely positive note. Actually, this podcast itself may be the most positive one we have done since maybe week one with the way the team has played. But let's, you found your way over to the ballpark this weekend for one of the Yankees games. What was that like with the much larger crowds than we've seen all season?
It was phenomenal. It felt normal. It felt amazing to be out there. The crowd was super into it. Obviously, it was a nice split with the Yankees being there. A nice split between the Yankees fans and Phillies fans. It was everybody was, for the most part, paying attention to the game and really fired up. And just being able to walk around that stadium again just felt so good to be back there. And I'm excited to hopefully get back there again later on this season.
I'm curious if you have an estimate as far as what the split was, Yankees fans versus Phillies fans, because the couple of Mets games that I went to earlier this year with the smaller crowds, it felt definitely Phillies had more, but it was close. I mean, there was
it was close. I would say, if you told me 55% Phillies to 45% Yankees, I would probably believe you. It was very close to 50-50, which is fine, but it was just seeing the amount of people there. I think the attendance to the game I went to, which was the Saturday one, was like 38,000.
Cool.
So numbers you haven't heard in a very long time.
Yeah, and I guess that probably is. It's probably considered a sellout because I think they were keeping a couple sections still somewhat socially distanced to give people that sense of comfort. So, that probably is essentially a sellout because I think both games were right around 38,000, 39,000. So, very cool to see. This whole homestand was very cool to see. Like I said, this is probably the best streak this team's gone on since the start of the season. Let's break down some of these games. Unfortunately, the first game we're going to talk about was not so positive. As expected, we got a pitcher's duel out of Zach Wheeler versus Max Scherzer. Scherzer ends up going 7 2/3, giving up 5 hits, just 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. Wheeler matched him in almost every category. He went 7 1/3 himself, 5 hits. He gives up 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. The runs for the Nationals came 1 in the 4th. Turner gets a leadoff walk, and he gets the second on a ground out by Josh Harrison. And then Josh Bell hits a quote-unquote double out to left field that Girardi, after the game, said should have been caught. Or at least he thought it should have been caught. It was shallow left center, but McCutchen probably could have gotten there. I think Torreyes was also running that way from shortstop. We've seen it a couple times this year where there are some plays by McCutchen that are questionable. Sometimes it pops out of his glove. Sometimes it's you could tell just he's not seeing it well. But whether or not it should have fallen, it did fall. Turner scores, so puts the Nationals up 1-0. Phillies answer back pretty quickly in the bottom half of that 4th inning. Segura collects a single, steals second base, and then JT Realmuto comes up and collects an RBI single for himself. The 6th inning, Juan Soto, who seems to be the replacement for Bryce Harper down in Washington as far as the villain, so to speak. He hits himself a solo home run and kind of stares down Zach Wheeler. I don't know, maybe I missed something. I don't know if you saw any reason for, Soto is a I guess loud personality at the plate, with the the antics he's got going up there. And it's never, it bothers me in the sense that it's, the rival team and that sort of thing. But from a strictly player standpoint, I don't mind it. I don't mind that he does that sort of thing. It's fun, brings some character to the game. But in this scenario, he kind of just stared down Wheeler, almost like it was weird. Did you hear anything about that? Do you have any see anything as to why that kind of moment happened?
I don't recall anything. I know earlier in the game he was called out on strikes by Zach Wheeler. So I mean, maybe that was it. Maybe he thought that pitch was borderline or whatever. But I don't remember off the top of my head anything being that overt of why he would pick Wheeler to stare at, besides the fact that he was on the mound.
Yeah, it's not like Wheeler really starts any. He's never very controversial. In fact, not controversial at all. Nothing that I can remember where he's done something that would warrant that kind of response from a batter. And then I believe. Go ahead.
I'm just sorry. I just think it was a bit of gamesmanship. I mean, obviously we talked about how big this homestand was for the Phillies. It's huge for the Nationals too. It's a division opponent. Two teams that are just fighting to stay in division that's very much alive. It's at this point still any team can come through. I think it's still at this point. So I just think it was a bit of gamesmanship and just shows how important the series was for both teams.
Yeah, and then I believe it was the bottom half of that same inning in the sixth, JT Realmuto got hit by a pitch from Scherzer. Again, nothing to show that it was intentional, but Max Scherzer is Max Scherzer, and he usually doesn't throw pitches away like that. So I don't know, just a confluence of events there that felt a little weird. Nothing really would come of it the rest of that series. So we'll see as the season progresses. Got to talk about the ninth inning of this one, though. Rhys Hoskins leads it off with a long shot out to right field, bounces off the top of the wall out there. He ends up on second base. Arguably, he could have ended up on third. Another thing Girardi mentioned in the post game, he was going to look at the video. Hoskins out of the box may have been strutting a little bit down the first base line, so he ends up on second base. And then Girardi decides to bring up, or I should say, put Travis Jankowski out there to pinch run for Rhys. Travis had just come up from AAA, has a ton of speed, so I know some people question the move. You're taking a big bat out of the lineup, and if this game were to go to extras, at this point the teams, Phillies are down 2-1. Let's just say they if Jankowski does score there, but then you lose Hoskins if you go into the 10th and beyond. Some people had an issue with it. I was okay with it. Get some speed out there and put yourself in the best position to get into the extra innings if you had to, or to win the game and kind of deal with the repercussions later. But it all was all for naught because I believe in a full count, or no, it wouldn't have been full count, but it was pretty deep into the at bat for Realmuto. The ball bounces, and the catcher briefly couldn't find it, and Jankowski starts to run towards third, but the ball did not get far enough away. I believe it was Avila picks up the ball, and at that point, Jankowski freezes between second and third, and right then and there, he cemented his fate. He could have made the attempt to run back to second and force Avila to throw the ball, but instead he just kind of dances there, and Avila makes it all the way out with the ball in hand, all the way out to that shortstop area, and eventually puts the tag on Jankowski. And it's just not a great look in your debut for the Phillies. Pinch running a big spot there, and he caught in a rundown between second and third, and it kind of just ruined any momentum the team had for the rest of the inning. The next two batters would go down, and that was it. The Phillies would lose that one 2-1. What did you think about that whole scenario? Were you okay with Jankowski coming in there? And then, do you blame Jankowski for trying to, get that extra base there, or do you think, unless you're absolutely certain, you stay on second base?
Yeah, unless you are absolutely certain, you have to stay on second. We saw sort of similar play in the game I went to where there was a ball that dropped at the feet of Gary Sanchez, and I believe it was Segura who ended up getting thrown out at second because he kind of hesitated at first base. I was watching him, and he kind of should I go? And then by the time he went, he hesitated and he overslid the bag and got out. So I think the hesitation just killed him. I don't understand why Jankowski was put in there. It's not like Rhys is so slow. Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, Luke Williams was not caught up. If it was like a guy like Luke, who is clearly much faster than Hoskins, sure. But I just I don't know if Hoskins is that slow that you would want to replace him. I don't know. It didn't feel necessary at that point. But it was just very very bad. Uh, not being smart on the base paths and just um, like you said the second guessing just he was dead to rights.
Yeah, and I can understand it either way. I get the positives of pinch running there and the negative. As you mentioned, Hoskins isn't the slowest guy out there. He has decent enough speed for a first baseman. So it's easy in hindsight to question these things. And, but the Phillies do drop that opening game of the series. Thankfully, the rest of the series would go pretty well for them. In that Saturday game, Spencer Howard gets the start for the Phillies, and once again, he can't get himself out of the third inning. Forces Ranger Suarez to come into the game. He comes in with the bases loaded and nobody out, and he ends up only allowing one run. With the bases full, he gives up a fielder's choice to Juan Soto, which, considering what Juan Soto is capable of, that's pretty impressive. Suarez, this whole season has been impressive, and in this game he goes 3 innings with 3 strikeouts and no earned runs to his line. That run he allowed would go to Spencer Howard. In the fourth inning, G. Segura would reach base on an error by Josh Bell. Bryce Harper gets hit by a pitch, and then Rhys Hoskins comes in to collect an RBI single to score for the Phillies' first run of the game. Later in the inning, Andrew McCutchen comes through with a 3-run home run. So the Phillies up to 4 runs at that point. In the eighth inning, Josh Bell would collect a home run for the Nationals. Bryce Harper answers back in the bottom of that inning with an RBI single. And then Connor Brogdon comes in and saves the game in the ninth with Hector Neris on the paternity list. The Phillies take that one 5-2. So then we head to the final game of that series. This game was a wacky, crazy, whatever word you want to use here. Vince Velasquez gets the start in this one. I think this is his second start since, or his first start since that Cincinnati game where he. I don't even know if he made it out of the second inning in that one. He goes 4 innings here, gives up 3 earned runs on 80 pitches, gives up some RBI base hits to Juan Soto, Victor Robles, and kind of put the Phillies down a little bit early. However, in the fourth inning, the Phillies would go off, so to speak. After an Odubel Herrera groundout, JT Realmuto collects a walk. Bryce Harper singles. Rhys Hoskins reaches on an error by Jordy Mercer. Then Andrew McCutchen collects an RBI single, followed by Brad Miller and Alec Bohm both walking with the bases loaded. Ronald Torreyes collects an RBI fielder's choice. Matt Joyce comes in and strikes out. However, on that third strike, there would be a wild pitch from Finnegan, the Nationals pitcher. Odubel Herrera collects an RBI single of his own. Once again, JT Realmuto walks in this inning, his second of the inning, and then Bryce Harper would ground out. So the Phillies score 7 runs in that fourth inning. They really didn't look back. In the fifth, Brad Miller hits a 2-run home run. Brandon Kintzler comes in to pitch the sixth inning for the Phillies. He would allow 4 hits. 2 of those are extra base hits, 3 on runs total. At that point, the Phillies are up 9-6, so still a close game. But then JT Realmuto in the bottom of the inning puts the game in his own hands. He hits his 100th home run of his career. It's a 3-run shot, putting the Phillies up 12-6. Sam Coonrod comes in for the Phillies. After that, he throws an inning and a third, giving up no runs. And he ends up getting the win in this one. Which, after we finish talking about this game, I kind of want to talk about how this works because I was kind of confused as to how he got the win. But as we go into the eighth inning, Christopher Sanchez is making his Phillies debut. And as he's facing Trey Turner in a pretty big spot in the eighth inning, the netting behind home plate falls. And, it's hanging off onto the field. They have to stop the game. I think it was about 25 minutes it took for the grounds crew to come out and kind of makeshift fix. And they take some rope and tie the net back up. And I mean, kudos to them for that emergency situation, getting it all fixed. But man, that was definitely one of the strangest things I've seen baseball game.
It was an adventure. It for sure was. But it was great to see the offense produce that many runs. This whole homestand was a good homestand for the offense as far as just seeing what we thought we would see on a consistent basis at the beginning of the year. Like I said, this is probably the first really positive show we've done since week one, where we talked about how we thought the offense would be such a pivotal part of this team and be so productive, and in parts it has, and then other times it hasn't. Especially recently, end of May was not a very good month of, not a very good few weeks of baseball. But this homestand was a good glimpse of what this offense, I think, could be with their full potential.
Yep, absolutely. To close that game out, Hector Neris comes back from the paternity list. He goes just 2/3 of an inning with 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. I think Girardi just throwing him out there to get some work in. So next up, after the National Series, the Phillies had off on that Monday, and then they start a series with the Atlanta Braves. Similar to the National Series, it starts off as a loss in Game 1, but then they pull through in the second 2 games. So this Tuesday game went back and forth for the first few innings. Braves end up scoring early in this one. Austin Riley with an RBI double in that first inning. And then an interesting thing happened in innings 3, 4, and 5. Each team scored 1 run in their half of the inning. So in the third, Ronald Acuna Jr. hits a home run for the Braves. Aaron Nola has a sacrifice bunt for the Phillies, which ends up scoring Alec Boehm. So, 1 run apiece for each team in that one. Then in the fourth inning, William Contreras hits a home run for the Braves, and Bryce Harper collects a home run for the Phillies. And then in the fifth, Freddie Freeman with an RBI single. A bit of a bobble by Odubel Herrera out in center field. It gets past him and allows the run to score. And then in the bottom half of that inning, Gene Segura comes through with an RBI double. Gene Segura is going to be a name that comes up quite a bit throughout this homestand. He definitely put on quite a performance, and once we get through all these games, I have some numbers to talk about with a couple players, but Gene Segura is one of them. In the sixth inning, the Phillies would end up taking the lead. JT Realmuto collects another home run for the Phillies. And then Brad Miller comes through with an RBI single to put them up 5-4. Aaron Nola's day would be done after the fifth inning. He would go 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. So at that point, his streak of not so terrific outings continues, and at that point, a bit concerning as far as how his season was going. Thankfully, he'd have a nice performance in the finale of the Yankee series, which we'll get to in a little bit. This is where things started to fall apart for the Phillies. Jackie Bradley, Archie Bradley, and Jose Alvarado would come in for the Phillies and pitch scoreless 6th and 7th. Unfortunately, Connor Brogdon comes in the 8th inning. He gives up a home run to Austin Riley. He would then walk Dansby Swanson and give up a single to Albert Almonte, which would then lead to Girardi bringing Sam Coonrod in the game. He gives up a single to William Contreras. Then there's an error on the play on the ball hit by Heredia. It's a third. And Ronald Acuna then comes through with a single for the Braves. All of that to set the score to 9-5 for the Braves. Worth noting, David Hale comes in this game in the 9th and throws a 1-2-3 against Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, and Dansby Swanson. So, nice little performance out of Hale. Unfortunately, the Phillies take the loss in that one, 9-5. Now, Wednesday's game, we get to another pitcher's duel on this homestand. We see Zach Eflin and Tucker Davidson of the Braves, match up pretty well. Eflin goes six innings. He allows 8 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Davidson for the Braves goes 6 innings as well. He allows 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. For the Braves, their bullpen comes in and throws scoreless a scoreless seventh and eighth inning. William Contreras hits an RBI single off of Eflin in the sixth. So going into the ninth inning, the Phillies are down 1-0. With the way the offense had looked all day, it looked a little bleak. Andrew McCutchen does manage to work a walk off of Atlanta closer Will Smith. Then we get down to 2 outs in the inning, and it brings up Luke Williams, a name you had mentioned earlier. He had been called up the previous night. He collected 2 hits in that game. Tonight he comes up again with Andrew McCutchen on first, 2 outs in the ninth. Phillies down by 1, and in a pretty special moment that I'm curious. I'll be curious to see what you felt in that moment. But Williams hits one out to left field that everybody kind of held their breath because it didn't look for sure going, but it does eventually go over that wall, and he hits a walk off 2-out 2-run home run for his first home run as a Philly. He had just spent all that time with Team USA, where he was crushing the ball and essentially the MVP for that Team USA team. The Phillies call him up because they need a little offensive juice to add to the lineup, and he comes through here. Yeah. Give us your thoughts on the hit and the post game with the emotional interview, his family all around. What were you thinking in those moments?
Oh man, that was just a great moment for the season. Probably one of my favorites so far. Mm-hmm. Just the elation on his face of realizing he hit it. When he gets around first base, he's like, "Oh my god, I actually did it!"
Yeah,
And the crowd out in left field where the ball landed, they were going crazy. The leap on the home plate. His family was going nuts in the stands, and then just to cap it all off, like you said, just the emotional, him practically breaking down in the post game interview was just a really sweet touch, and that was very exciting. Happy for the kid. Hope he sticks around. Hope he potentially makes a name for himself with the big club. Just a really very fun moment. I've watched that replay maybe 1,000 times since then.
Yeah, you're spot on. It was such a cool moment. Probably my favorite moment of the season so far, especially when you cap it off with that interview where he tells Tom McCarthy Tom's going to make him cry because he starts talking about his family. It just all felt so wholesome and really was fun to watch. And ended up being the start of a little mini streak here for the Phillies as they collect 3 straight walk-off wins. We head to that Thursday game against the Braves. Once again, another pitcher's duel. Zach Wheeler for the Phillies goes 8 innings with 4 hits, does not allow an earned run, does not give up a walk, and collects 12 strikeouts. Ian Anderson for the... What's that?
It's just a stud. Just a stud performance.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think we would get this kind of year out of Zach Wheeler.
Nope.
I think you sort of hoped you would be good for you as when you sign someone to that kind of deal, but I did not expect to see these kind of performances coming from Wheeler. But I'm super excited, and I'm hopefully this is not just a blip on the radar. Hopefully this is a legit run he's going and it continues all year.
And I think the only thing sweeter about it that that he's doing this for us and that he's pitching so well, the one thing that makes it even better is that he's not doing it for the Mets, and the Mets did not re-sign him, and we stole him away. That said, the Mets I don't think are crying very much because they've got such a solid rotation. But it's nice to win one of those deals. So Ian Anderson for the Braves. He has a rough first inning in this one. He throws 26 pitches, doesn't allow a run. He ends up getting out of that one. He would go 7 innings, allowing 4 hits, no earned runs, with a walk and 4 strikeouts. In the 8th inning, Adubo leads things off with a double off the right field wall. Segura would follow up with a double out into left field, and that puts the Phillies up 1-0. And it's a late inning run, and you got Hector Neris coming in, and you're thinking, okay, maybe we squeak this one out and take the series. However, Freddie Freeman, if you've ever heard of him, has other plans. Nope. He collects a home run out to center field that Odubel Herrera could have caught, but I'm not going to chastise him about it. It's those home run robbing catches are not easy, and despite the fact that he probably could have had it, I can't knock him for it. It's more of a, if anything, it's a pat on the back to Freddie Freeman because despite the down year he's having, he still is able to just hit the ball so well and ties the game up for the Braves. There, it's 1-1. It got close. The Braves almost took the lead in that ninth inning because Ozzie Albies would follow up with a walk, a stolen base, and he'd get to third on a wild pitch. However, Neris keeps it at just the 1 run, and we go to extra innings. Jose Alvarado comes in for the Phillies. He would he would get out. Let me try that again. He would get Almonte from the Braves to hit into a ground out. He then would walk Heredia, who would get to second on a wild pitch. And because of the extra inning rule with the runner starting on second, Dansby Swanson, who had started on second, ends up scoring. Alvarado would continue with a walk to Kevin Smith, a strikeout to William Contreras, and then a walk to Ronald Acuna. And then he would get Freddie Freeman to ground out. So the Braves end up scoring 2 runs in that 10th inning. So the Phillies have some work to do in their half. After Will Smith gave up the walk-off home run to Luke Williams the night before, the Braves decided to go with Chris Martin as their quote-unquote closer in this one. Rafael Marchand for the Phillies ends up starting at second base. He gets to third on a passed ball, followed by an RBI single, worth noting a 2-strike single by Alec Boehm out to right field. Odubel Herrera then collects a double for himself out to left field. And then it all culminates in Gene Segura coming through with a walk-off, loud, long single out to center field. It bounces off the wall out there, and he only, it goes down on the record books as a single. Would have been a double, possibly a triple with the way the wall, is angled out there. And the Phillies get their second straight walk-off, and walk-offs are tense, but they're also exciting. And I definitely think it put a lot of energy into this team. It's something you can build off of. It's worth mentioning the blown save by Neris, but when you get breakthrough hits like that, it's fun and can energize a team, and evidently it did just that, because as we go into the Saturday game against the Yankees, we would see a similar outcome at the end of this one. The Phillies scores 4 runs in this first inning. It's the first time in 15 games that they scored runs in the first inning, something they had done quite a bit earlier in the season and hadn't been recently, but they scored 4 here. They come on 6 singles, a sacrifice fly, and a walk. The Yankees would get a couple back off of Vince Velasquez in the second. Gary Sanchez hits a home run, and Brett Gardner collects a triple. So the Yankees get 2 there. In the 4th inning, Gene Segura once again coming through. He gets an RBI single. Alec Boehm and Ronald Torreyes come through with RBI hits of their own in the 5th. So at that point, the Phillies are up 7-2. Vince Velasquez's day is done after that. He goes 5 innings, allowing 6 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Sam Coonrod comes in as his replacement out of the bullpen. He goes 2 innings. He allows 1 earned run on the Rougned Odor home run. And now Ranger Suarez comes in, and it looks like with the stellar year he's been having, Girardi is looking to put him into more high leverage situations and using him as a late inning guy rather than a mop up guy. He allows his first earned run of the season, so now his ERA sits at 0.42, which is just awful. And perhaps it's maybe time to send him back down. But yeah, so Suarez gives up his first earned run of the year. So going into the 9th, with Hector Neris coming into the game, the Phillies lead at 7-4. Neris would give up 2 1-out walks to the Yankees, and then he would leave a ball. I don't even know if it was such a terrible pitch per se, but with DJ LeMahieu, he's having a bit of a down year by his own standards, but LeMahieu can hit just about anything, and he would do just that. He collects a 3-run home run in that top of the 9th inning to tie the game for the Yankees. It's 7-7. The Phillies had a chance in the 9th inning. Bryce Harper led things off with a double, but Nothing would come of it. So then we head to extra innings for the second straight game. Archie Bradley comes in, and hats off to Bradley in this one because when you're coming into these extra inning games now and you got the guy starting on second, you think, okay, well, that run is almost guaranteed to score with all the ways that you can get a guy from second to home with 3 outs to play with. You just assume that guy is going to score, but in this case, they do not. Bradley collects a 1-2-3 10th inning. Like I said, the runner didn't even move off of second base. So then it is to the bottom of the 10th with the Phillies just needing one run to walk it off again. We see Travis Jankowski start things off with a sacrifice bunt to move the runner to move Ronald Torreyes over to third. After Odubel Herrera would pop out into foul territory, once again our hero Gene Segura comes through and he collects a walk-off single over to third base. Ball gets thrown away when they try to throw home. Bob, I guess because I haven't asked you yet, and this might be putting you on the hot seat here, but were you still there at the game for this 10th inning walk off?
Absolutely, I was still there. Yes,
good answer.
We were there. I didn't leave my seat for most of the game. I think after the 4-run inning, I got to eat, but I was pretty much in my seat for most of the game with a bunch of friends. We were just talking, just people behind us who were Yankees and Phillies fans, and we were just having fun with them the whole game. Really good atmosphere in the section we were at. But yes, we stayed the entire game. The Mayhew hit from my angle, I was up in 310, up in right field, or just off the foul line, but up high. From my angle, I thought it was just going to go off the wall or that, but then I was like, oh, it went into the crowd. I was like, oh, I just stood there, and that's when I heard all the Yankees fans, especially my friend, one of my friends, a Yankees fan, cheer. But it was a very fun game to be at. Yes, no one. It was like a unanimous decision. No one. We were all like, yes, we're staying. We're not leaving. We're not leaving. We're gonna watch this. Game's been too fun already. We have to stay and finish this thing out.
Yeah, and those games that get stressful, but the Phillies that are coming out on top, those are definitely the more fun ones to be able to say you stayed to the end for. And that'll end up being one that you remember for quite a long time. So with the momentum coming off of 3 straight walk-offs, the Phillies don't need a walk-off in this final game against the Yankees on Sunday. They win this one handily, 7-0. They strike again in the first inning, 3 straight singles to lead things off. Bryce Harper hits into an odd double play where it was a ball that looked like it was going to be called on the line, but ends up dropping in front of, I think it was Gleyber Torres out at shortstop.
It was a great play with Mike Gleyber.
Oh yeah, an absolutely spectacular play. I don't blame. I think it was Segura that ends up making the second out there. You just can't blame him because you have to freeze and not much that could happen there. So he goes to a double out. Double play, and then Rhys Hoskins would fly out. However, in the second inning, Andrew McCutchen comes through with a double. Alec Boehm hits a single, and then later in the inning, Odubel Herrera collects a double of his own, and Gene Segura, once again, coming through with a single. In the fifth inning, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Gene Segura, but this time he comes through with a triple. JT Realmuto hits a single to make it 5-0. Then after a Bryce single and Andrew McCutchen double, after which McCutchen pointed out to a Yankees fan that was kind of getting on his case out in left field and dedicated the RBI double to him, and at that point, it put the Phillies up 7-0, and they would not look back. And Aaron Nola in this one, I mentioned him earlier, talking about that Braves game where his streak of not so great performances, continued. However, in this one, he would go 7 2/3 of an inning with 3 hits allowed, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. He threw 103 pitches. I'm curious, Bob, did you think he got pulled a little too early here? At 103, maybe let him finish off the 8th inning there, especially because he hadn't allowed a base runner. So I'm curious what you think of Girardi pulling him out of the game there.
I don't hate it. I think he could have finished the inning. That him walking off the mound and just the ovation of the crowd that ended up being that's another one of my favorite moments of the season. Just because I just loved that the energy was back in the ballpark. I was there the day before. You love it when I mean you have talked about this. You love it when you go to a baseball game or any sporting event and you just feel the crowd is in it the whole time. So Cam Girardi pulling Noah early. Yeah, I think he could have finished the eighth, but it led to a nice tip of the cap moment, nice stand ovation. Love to see the crowd back into it. And so it made me feel good as a Phillies fan to see like, yes, we're getting back to normal. The fans are here. It's one of the first times we're having a almost sellout crowd. So it was just, I got a nice little, I got really pumped up seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. All the fans there, and hopefully a sign of Nola turning things around. And a 1-2 punch of Nola and Wheeler on their absolute A game would be killer. So hopefully that leads to good things. Also, I have to make note. Aaron Nola did go 1 for 2 at the plate with a walk in this game. So
I knew this was coming. yes.
So we must have it be known.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught the post game interview on the radio, but Noah was on with Fransky in LA and had a nice conversation with LA about his fastball command and that being the key to his success and him really being on the fastball. He threw the fastball extremely well in that start. He was on top of the ball, and even Aaron admitted that he hadn't been the best with his fastball command most of the season. And it was a nice conversation between LA, a former pitcher, and Noah talking about the need to just really get behind that pitch and command it. And also gave a peek into the attitude inside the clubhouse. Fransky asked him about how the walk-offs have sort of fired his team up, and Noah agreed. He said, "Yeah, walk-offs are fun. They energize the team, and so it was a nice conversation between the three of them that I enjoyed, and I'm hopeful for the upcoming road trip. Just see whether hopefully the team keeps their confidence, and it's going to be a very tough next two series."
Yeah, well, so to cap things off for that last game against the Yankees, Connor Brogdon comes in, throws one pitch and gets the last out of the eighth inning, and then Eniel De Los Santos comes in and closes things out. He looked like as that inning went on, he just got better and better as the crowd kind of pumped him up. You saw his miles per hour goes up. So who knows? Maybe he pulls a Ranger Suarez and surprises us. We'll see. I wanted to make note of some of the numbers from this Yankee series because there were multiple players on the Phillies that performed extremely well. In the two games against the Yankees, Odubel Herrera goes 4 for 11 with 4 runs scored and 1 RBI. Gene Segura goes 6 for 10 with 2 runs scored and 4 RBIs. JT Realmuto 3 for 8, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. Bryce Harper 4 for 9, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. Andrew McCutchen goes 3 for 6, including a walk and a hit by pitch. He would score 2 runs and collect 3 RBIs of his own. And Alec Boehm goes 3 for 9 with 1 run scored and 2 RBIs. So, quite a few guys there that are hot, or at least were hot in that series. And it's, as you mentioned, they're going on a tough road trip. So this is, that's something that was needed was, to get these guys going and, get them ready to go on this tough road trip and be ready to perform.
Question for you, Andrew.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Did Gene Segura get your vote for the All-Star game? This homestand.
I mean, yes, because it's the combination of he's playing well and it's a Phillies guy, so of course I want to root for him. Right now, though, Ozzie Albies is just, playing lights out baseball for the Braves, and I think he'll end up getting it. Him and Acuna will probably get in together. Segura could get up there and finish second or third, which would be nice. Certainly playing extremely well. It's just the All-Star game. It's tough when it's a fan vote. It's not always necessarily going to play out the way it probably should, especially with Gene missing. What did he miss? Like 2 weeks with his injury. So
I really hope he at least gets a bench role. I'd like to see that he's put in an excellent couple of weeks actually, and just good to see him. I think the Phillies treat out. He's like the only guy who like is in like the top two of the three average on base and slugging. So he's just as a second baseman. I know I want to see him, maybe not as a starter, but I definitely want to see, or I'm hopeful to see Gene get a shot at the team.
Yeah, it would be his third All-Star appearance. He made it in 2013 with the Brewers, and again in 2018 with the Mariners. So yeah, it would be cool to see him get a third one there. He certainly has been playing well enough that I think he would earn it. And while we're on the subject of Gene Segura, just to look at the last 11 games for him since May 29th, he is hitting 409 with an on-base percentage of 469. He's got 8 RBIs as well as 8 runs scored and 4 stolen bases. 3 doubles and a triple thrown in there. Yeah, he has been a catalyst for this team for sure, and helping this team to score these runs and go on this offensive streak that they've been going on. Another guy I want to point out that's really been helping out the team in that same span, Andrew McCutchen. Ever since he was moved out of that leadoff spot and down into the fifth, sixth spot in the lineup, he is hitting 342 with a 422 on base percentage. He's got 13 hits, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 11 RBIs. So he is performing.
Words are hard, Andrew. Words are hard.
They are, especially after I went to the dentist today and I've got new Invisalign trays. I'm trying to say all this is fun, but it's okay because the Phillies are playing well and I'm excited about it. But yeah, and this is going to lead me into my next, set of questions for you, Bob. With McCutchen moving down into the 5th or 6th spot in the lineup, depending on the night. We see Odubel Herrera batting leadoff. We've seen Bryce Harper move into the cleanup spot. And Realmuto is hitting 3rd. All of this, I'm going to say, has a little bit to do with the streak that Rhys Hoskins has been on. We have said multiple times before, Rhys Hoskins has been extremely streaky in his career. So looking at the 12-game stretch from May 22nd to June 5th, that's when he was on a 12-game hitting streak. Hoskins was 14 for 50 with 5 walks and 7 extra base hits. And then since June 6th, he is 0 for his last 27 with 3 walks, all of those coming in a single game against the Yankees, I believe in that Saturday game that you were in attendance for. So with this, kind of newly revamped lineup, with Didi Gregorius appearing to be out for a little bit longer, he had a bit of a setback with his arm. What's your feeling on the lineup now with Herrera leading off, Segura up there batting 2nd, Realmuto, Harper, and then it usually ends up with Hoskins batting 5th, and then McCutchen 6th. Bohm 7th, Torreo's 8th. How do you feel about that lineup right now?
I like the lineup. I wouldn't mess with it too much. It's been working. I know Reese has been struggling a bit, but other guys are pulling their weight. I got to see 2 hits by Bohm on Saturday. And it wasn't just seeing Bohm hit, but seeing where the ball went. Both hits were, one was out the middle, one was to the opposite way to right field. That I love seeing. That was a good sign for me. Is that Bohm might be making the turning a corner a bit. He is a all fields kind of hitter, and when he is not pulling too much and he's seeing the ball well, he hits the all field. So just seeing that out of Bohm on Saturday gave me hope for him to hopefully gradually improve as the season goes along. They just won 3 series in a row. The confidence is there from the team. You hear it in the interviews, you hear it in the things. I wouldn't mess with this lineup too much. If they go ahead and lay a goose egg on the road trip, then yeah, we can talk about changing the lineup. But I don't mess with what's working for you.
Well, this streak of the Phillies sees its way out to LA as the Phillies make their annual visit to the Dodgers. There's something fun about seeing games at Dodger Stadium. There's it's a classic stadium, and knowing some of the Phillies' history there, especially on those runs in '08 and '09, it's fun when they go out there. Even if the team isn't necessarily at its peak, it's fun to watch those games. So in the Monday game or tonight's game, we'll see Spencer Howard get the start for the Phillies against Tony Gonsolin. Tuesday game sees Zach Eflin go against Julio Urias from the Dodgers. And then, as you mentioned before we kind of started this, Bob, the Wednesday game is going to be one to watch. Tell us about the matchup and what you're expecting.
Man, it is Zach Wheeler versus Clayton Kershaw, and I'm just really excited. I'm definitely more of a fan of watching pitching. I love a good pitcher's duel, so I'm hoping for a bit of that on Wednesday. We were talking earlier. I don't know if we were recording when we were talking about this, but Clayton hasn't been super Kershaw-like recently. So maybe that's a one-up for the Phils. But I am, because I watching when the Phils were at the top of the top and watching guys like Hamels and Halladay and Cliff and Oswalt go at it night after night. I loved that time period, and this is not like that at all with this team. It's not even close, but it was fun this weekend to see Zach go out there and strike out 12 guys against the Braves, and then a couple days later see Noah go 7 2/3 and the performance he put in. I love watching good pitchers pitch, and Wednesday is going to be primo baseball watching for me.
Yeah, for sure. That when you've got your top guy going out there like that on the streak he's on, and as you mentioned, Kershaw hasn't been Kershaw, but he still is Clayton Kershaw, and he can always toss one out there and be just as dominant as Zach Wheeler. So yeah, that game, despite the 10-10 Eastern start, it may just be a must watch.
I think it will be.
Good.
I think this game will live up to the hype. Just hope the Phillies come up on top.
Yep, and even with Zach Eflin is no slouch himself. He'll be going on in that Tuesday game against Urias, and that'll be another sneaky good pitching matchup as well. So we'll see. If we come out of this with the Phillies taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, I'd be ecstatic. And then they finally make that trip out to San Francisco that I
look at that!
Yeah, the one I've apparently been dying for all season. They'll have a night game on that Friday, and then 2 4:00 starts after that. No pitching matchups have been announced yet, but you imagine we're going to see Nola go in that series, and probably Eflin. No, actually, no, probably not. Well, there's an off day on Thursday, so we'll see if Girardi decides to shake up the rotation or not. But for sure, we'll get Nola in that series. They'll be going up against for the first time this season in San Francisco. Second time they'll be seeing the Giants this season, and the Giants are still playing well. When we saw them come into Philly, they were playing well, and I think people were wondering if it was an anomaly. But now we're into mid-June and heading in closer to the All-Star break, and the Giants are still competing out there. So, as we wrap things up, Bob, what's your prediction for this 6-game road trip out west for the Phillies?
I am going to say, I am a little bit. We talked about how I love pitching. I am a little bit worried about some of the matchups, especially tonight with Spencer, and then depending on how the series go, they might throw him out again with maybe Vince Velasquez, maybe a Noah Velasquez, Spencer Howard again in San Francisco. I don't know if I love that. So I'm going to say a conservative 3-3, which for me would be completely fine. Because after that you're rolling right back into divisional play where you're facing the Nationals and then the Mets, and then that one game in Cincinnati and then the Marlins.
Yeah.
So an even 3-3 would be a win for me. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. 3-3 would be a win. As long as they weren't wins where they were winning 7-0 or had a big lead and then let it up, or games that they had to, or that they end up losing at the end. But yeah, 3-3 would be fantastic. It'd be incredible if they managed to win both these series. I think of the two, you're set up well to possibly take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers with Eflin and Wheeler getting starts in that one.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
yeah, it's very interesting because I think Girardi would probably prefer to keep Eflin for the Nationals because there's a 2-game set, and he'd be able to do an Eflin Wheeler series. But if if the road trip isn't going too hot, they do have that off day. Maybe they squeeze Eflin in at the end of the Giants series. So it'd be interesting to see first of all how Spencer does tonight, and if he does poorly, how that may affect the Giants pitching matchups and potentially the matchups against the Nationals the following series.
Yeah, they'll have 3 off days in a span of 8 days coming up, so plenty of time to rest. So Girardi will have some decisions to make, and then like you mentioned, they'll come back from this road trip and play a quick 2-game set with the Nationals in Citizens Bank Park, and that's probably the next time we'll record an episode. So by then, we'll be a pretty good way through this tough stretch we had talked about last time we recorded, and how it would be a test to see how well this team can perform. It so well, they're doing pretty darn well, going 6-2 on this homestand. So that'll be it for this episode of 2 On 2 Out. Bob, do you have any parting advice or any words for the listeners out there?
Spay and neuter your pets, folks.
Absolutely. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my thigh this weekend. So spay and neuter your pets, everybody. Be safe. Go watch a good TV show and stay up late for these West Coast games by the Phillies. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back for our next episode. Bye, y'all.